Let's get ready to rumble.
Yes, we're back. It's episode 118 of the Hibs Ramble. It's Liam here, your host this evening, and I'm joined by the lovely Mr. Mark, Duncan, and Daniel, who's joined us from the Discord. He stepped in as a late deadline day signing because we thought we were going to go 2 weeks on the bounce without a podcast, but he stepped in. So if you're on the Discord and this happens again and you want to be on the Ramble, you can. Mark, I'll start with you. How the devil are you, my friend?
I'm good. I was just talking about my abysmal haircut.
That's not that bad.
So if you see me fidgeting around today, it's because they've cut it too short and it exposes my terrible hairline and massive forehead. So apologies in advance. Unlike McClend over there, who's got an absolute dynamite cut. Look at that.
Listen,
that.
I've not even
luscious.
I've not even done anything with it, mate. I'm just kind of. Thing is, if I
just put a whole tub of wax in there.
If I lift these bits up, it's known as dynamite because the Resido is kicking on. I'm a bit Stephen Fletcher up there, but listen, we move.
You'll get there one day, Daniel. Don't you
worry.
Yeah,
young Daniel joins us from Discord. Daniel, I want to see your Resido before we continue. 17 years of age.
That's, you got a Resido as well.
That's a big fringe. Oh, I tell you what, that's not so bad.
That's all right.
It's not so bad. It's not so bad. Listen, hold on to that hairline while you can, mate. That's all I'm going to say. That's the plan, son. That's a plan. How are we anyway, Dan? Nice to see you, mate.
I'm all right. I think I'm still half asleep for the game on Sunday.
Quite right. Absolutely delighted to make your Ramble debut, of course.
Yep.
As you should be.
Always.
As you should be. So all 30 people who watch this video on YouTube will be delighted to see you. No, listen, let's crack on and talk about that game on Sunday. An absolute snooze fest. You two were there. I was watching it on the telly. Poor excuse for a game of association soccer. As I've already mentioned, Mark, were maybe doomed for the start with the state of that pitch.
Yeah, I was saying before we started that I don't know if St Mirren have got the sort of sprinklers installed and they just chose not to use them, or they just don't have them at all. But that's one thing I noticed before the game, and it looked really dry, and there was no attempt to water the pitch at all. So I'm assuming St Mirren know exactly what they're doing. That kind of tells you the type of game that it's going to be. One of those ones where you come away and say, "Oh, it was a difficult game for everyone." So that wasn't great, and then just to state it was sandy, it was dry, it was long, just everything about it was really poor.
Scrappy game, and I think, Daniel, it was kind of set up that way that there wasn't going to be an awful lot of football played on that tatty field, so a scrap it had to be, and a scrap it kind of was.
Yeah, I mean, overall it was... I don't think the ball was out the middle of the park very often. Like, it was very bouncy, and whenever it wasn't, it had to be hoofed long because you couldn't play a pass longer than 10 yards without it bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, it needed the paracetamol at half time, I think, Mark.
Right, defo. And do you know what? It wasn't even as if Hibs were trying to play any different. Hibs were doing this thing, and it was really winding me up. They would get the ball to the wide centre half. So O'Hora or Iredale, right? They get the ball to O'Hora or Iredale, and they would just hook it. They would hook it round looking for Dwight Gale. Dwight Gale, man, he was dealing with mortar shells the whole game. Honestly, I felt sorry for him. And they're just trying to get it to O'Hora and Iredale, and then hook it over the back round the corner, and it just wasn't working. St Mirren were just dealing with it so easily. So it wasn't the times where we actually tried to get the ball down and play was the times where we looked threatening. So although you can talk about the pitch and talk about how physical they were, I was quite frustrated by how we played. It was almost like we played right into their hands right for the start by being physical and route one and all that kind of stuff. So
see, I kind of thought the opposite though, watching on the telly. I mean, it's a completely different game when you're at the game, but it looked to me, watching it at home, that it was when we were getting the balls over the top and in behind, those long balls, that we were looking a wee bit dangerous. I mean, admittedly, that it was few and far between in the first half and the second half. But I thought that Gale had a half decent chance in the first half. and I think that comes from a long ball over from Nicky Cadden. Daniel, did you just feel like it was route one and there was not an awful lot of imagination or creativity?
I mean, it did feel that way for large parts of the game. And when we were starting Boyle and Gale, it wasn't going to be needing to win the headers to flick it on. It was running in behind, and with how big their centre backs are, I barely see that working with especially that Taylor, the left centre back, I think it was.
Thought he played well actually. Big Richard Taylor. He's one that's out of contract actually in the summer. Maybe someone that we could look at bringing in if Rocky's to go. I thought he was superb on Sunday. Mark, what did you think?
It kind of tells a story that the defenders kind of stole the show, didn't they? Because I thought Rocky was absolutely immense. I thought O'Hora, to be fair, was actually really poor in the first half. He was a wee bit better second half, but O'Hora just looked really uncomfortable. The boy up top for them, I can't mind his name. He
Olasanya.
was bullying him. Yeah, he was absolutely bullying O'Hora the whole first half. Every single time O'Hora would let it bounce, Odesanya would get in and steal it away. And he made a few really poor passes, passing out the pitch and all that. But Rocky, I thought, was absolutely immense. By far, for me, man.
Top class. I think something for me that I noticed was because I don't think he's ever going to beat Olasanya in a foot race. Olasanya's dead quick and making a little bit of a nuisance of himself. And we saw that on opening game of the season when we went to St Mirren. But what I thought Rocky did really well was using his body and reading the game. It's something that, we don't praise Rocky an awful lot for is his reading of the game. But Daniel, I thought that he kind of had Olasanya in his back pocket, and we know that he can be a tricky player. And he didn't really seem to cause Rocky any problems at all.
I mean, yeah, with obviously when you're looking at St Mirren, the strikers Mandron and Olasanya. Olasanya is probably one of the fastest players in the league, and he's not exactly the weakest either, from what I've seen. So the only way you are going to really stop him is when you are like Rocky being much bigger, having to be able to hold him off and like force him wide if he does get the ball.
Absolutely. And I thought he did that really well, and he used his body really well to get in between Olasanya and the ball, which I thought was, again, just kind of praising how well Rocky was able to read the game. Listen, I've got in my notes here, struggled to get into the game first half. We've talked about that. Struggled to get into the game second half. I thought that if St Mirren had someone who could stick the ball in the back of the net, then they maybe would have been out of sight come half time, similar to their game against Hearts on Monday.
Yeah, I think they started the game much better. The first probably 20 minutes, they battered us. They absolutely battered us, and they dominated us in midfield. To be honest, it was a bit of a theme of the whole game. Midfield were just the game just passed them by. Triantis and Kwon mostly, the game just passed them by. But actually, you can't really blame them because most of the time the ball was going over their heads. So, it's difficult to blame them for being kind of non-existent. But it was just one of the games where you just have to kind of take the point and move on. It was always going to be tough, but we'll go again.
I think that having Triantis and Kwon in there, I can see what he wanted to do, with maybe trying to match the physicality by putting Kwon in. But, I mean, Kwon doesn't help himself at the best of times. On that pitch and the way that the game was going, I thought he should have hooked Kwon much, much sooner. And to be honest, it's always great to say this in hindsight because he gets sent off, but I thought he probably should have put Nathan Mariah Welsh on instead of Alassane Mane, because I feel like that game was crying out for a bit of a terrier, a bit of a battler, and I've never seen Alassane Mane play before Sunday, and in the 10 minutes that he was on, I don't really have an opinion, but I thought that maybe Nathan Mariah Welsh should have been on there before. But listen, we'll talk about Mane in a wee minute. The only other points in the game, to be honest, was Warner Hora's header in the first half, which was an absolute sitter. When you come to think it, something that he should really be putting that in the back of the net. Daniel, what did you think?
I mean, because where I was sat, I was like basically directly behind the goal to the right. Like, I thought that was in, and actually turned around to celebrate, but it's just, I mean, in my opinion, you've got at least got to be working the goalie because, I mean, if you get it on target, it's always got a chance of going in, and it's a header about 8 yards out, I think it was, and with someone who we know a horror can score headers, you'd expect him to be doing a bit better than that.
It's just one of them, I suppose. I think that our only chance of scoring really on Sunday would have been for a set piece. I mean, it was our best chance. It was. I don't think we actually worked the goalie at all. So, I mean, it was our closest chance. And you can say he needs to do better. He needs to be working the goalie and scoring and stuff. But, you don't expect that one chance from a corner in the first half to be your only chance of actually scoring a goal in the game.
I thought the exact same, that if there was to be a goal in the game, it was either going to be a 40-yard worldie, which is unlikely, or it's going to be a set piece. And to be fair, Nicky Cadden put in a couple of really good crosses where he kind of drills it low, but it's one of them that's always rising.
Yeah.
And it's one of them when he first hits it, you think it's not going to beat the first man. And then that's the one that creates that horror chance. I totally agree. See, when it first happened after that reaction, everyone around's kind of saying, "Oh, unlucky, good header," and that. And me and my brother both looked at each other saying he should do better there. That's how close he is to the goal, the connection that he gets on the ball, the pace that he gets on it. Like Daniel says, he should be working the goalie at the very, very least. Because if he gets that on target, it's a pretty much
Yes, there's no.
goal.
I mean,
you can tell he's obviously trying to pick a corner, which is great, and he's just kind of dragged it a wee bit too far wide. But I totally agree that was going to be the winner. It was going to be a really bad mistake, or it was going to be a set piece.
I mean, and to be honest, after that, fat load of nothing. Jordan Smith, really good double save. I thought, again, Smith played fairly well on Sunday without having an awful lot to do. Did what he had to do comfortably. Again, he's not the most orthodox of goalkeepers, but what he does, he keeps the ball out the back of the net, and there's not much else you can ask for, really, from your goalie, is there? What I want to get your takes on, though, is one, the referee, and two, poor Alassane Mane and he's sending off. Daniel, your thoughts, first of all, just on the refereeing performance as a whole.
I mean, at the time, I thought it was, like, at the start, just throughout the entire game, it was quite shocking. Not even against us, just in general. There was loads of decisions and loads of yellow cards that weren't yellows, loads of free kicks given or not given. Like about 20 fouls on Bowie at the end of the game, that none of which were given.
He was running into folk though, Mark. You said that.
See, that's what I said.
He was drawing that. Right? He was trying to draw them, and it wasn't working.
Yeah. I actually thought that, see, coming away from the ground, right, obviously without having the benefit of replays, I thought the referee didn't have a bad game. Obviously, once I saw the replay of that second yellow card, I was thinking, wow, because at the time I thought he's obviously left an elbow on him, and that's why he's got the second yellow. But to be booked for going up for a header is scandalous.
I mean, he challenges and he's physical for it, right? But show me another 50-50 header during that 90 minutes that at least one of the players isn't like leaving something. I mean, I don't even think he left anything on the defender. But I mean, that's just the nature of jumping up to win a header against somebody. Like,
what really baffles me is that the referees looked at that.
The referee was
right, clearly
like 5 or 6 yards away from it, looking at it dead on.
But what baffles me is he's looked at that and he knows that he's already on a yellow card. So he's looked at that and thought, that's worth giving a second yellow card and sending somebody off. Anyone with a wee bit of common sense, right, looks at that, even if he does give the foul and he says, oh, that was a wee bit much, that is never a booking in a million years.
I don't even think it's a foul.
Never in a million years.
I don't even think it's a foul.
Now, the other thing that he got wrong badly was the penalty, which again, I've not seen a replay, but
no, he didn't get that wrong.
Absolutely. That's what he got that wrong.
He got it wrong in real time, aye.
He gave it, aye. And apart, what I was thinking was, if you go to VAR that quickly, if you wave off the decision after about a second, and it's that clear and obvious, you shouldn't be making that mistake in real time. That's what, and obviously that's what's VAR's for. It's to correct those mistakes. Apart from that, honestly, right, I didn't come away thinking this was where. See all the Bowie things at the end. None of them are fouls. Absolutely none of them are fouls.
I
Bowie
think
was running into
the
the upper
first one where
post.
Bowie's away and the boy kind of hacks him back.
Bowie was running into him looking for fouls for those last 5-10
Yeah,
minutes,
the
and
last few.
none of them were fouls.
I thought
Um,
like at the start of the game, he was getting the card out far too often, and it was the inconsistency of the fouls that he was given and not given. And you can say this about every single referee, but the inconsistency I thought was ridiculous. Like, he was booking players for things that he wasn't booking others for. This is on both sides, by the way. This is not just for Hibs. I thought he was atrocious for St Mirren as well, and I've had a look. Actually, I had a look at the games that he's been refereeing, and for the majority of his career, he's refereed 90 odd games, and the majority of his career has been in League One and the Championship. And I get that everyone needs, if you're deemed good enough, everyone needs a crack at the top flight. It was like his 12th or 13th game in the top flight, but fucking hell, like if that's the standard of the referees that we've got coming up, then we are doomed. We are truly, truly doomed. But Daniel, looking at it back, I assume that you've seen the second yellow card back. What did you think at the time? Did you think it was a booking at the time?
I mean, at the time, it was one of those, I didn't know what to expect of how Ross Hardy was refereeing the game. I could see why it's been given as a foul in real time. Like, you see those get given as fouls, but I didn't think it was a booking.
Yeah.
And after seeing it back, I 100% know it wasn't a booking. And I can see why he's given the foul. Now, I'm not saying it is a foul, but given the angle he's at, I can see why it's been given. So, but then to pull out the second yellow card, I don't even think he'd committed another foul after his first booking.
It was the first booking was his first foul as well. And I don't think I thought that was a bit harsh because he was on the pitch for half a minute and he ends up getting booked. So it's a wee shame.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for him. Did you think he looked all right though, Mark?
I think you can't judge.
I don't know if he actually had many touches of the ball.
I think he had more bookings than he did touches. To be honest,
shame, man. I feel sorry for him.
It wasn't the right game, and look, hindsight's a wonderful thing, right? If he had popped up and scored the winner, we would have been calling David Gray a genius. Yeah. But it wasn't the right game to put him in. When you look at that game when he got put on, it wasn't a football match. It was a wrestling match, really. It was all physical. It just looked like it was going to be one of those games that was just going to teeter out. I totally agree with what you said earlier. You need a Mariah Welsh in there, maybe, that's just going to run about and just kick people and just be dogged and all that. I'm not saying maybe that's what Manny's like, but to put him in when he's not fully fit and expect him to keep up with the pace and physicality of that game, and he's not the biggest guy, I think was a big mistake. And I would imagine that David Gray will be regretting doing it. Again, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but it was never a game for him to go into. Leave it, maybe against Celtic, bring him in the last 10, 20 minutes, because that's more of a game where he can get the ball and play football. Mm-hmm. But in a pitch like that, in a game like that, it wasn't right to bring.
Do you think it was maybe he was trying to... He was obviously our only signing in January. Do you think there was maybe a little bit of, if he's ready enough to get on the bench, I should probably put him on? Do you think it was a bit of that rather than trying to win, not do that over trying to win the game, but maybe that was a thought in the back of David Gray's head instead of putting someone else on ahead of him?
I don't think so. I would hope not. I would hope that he wouldn't make a change to appease fans, and I don't think he's that type of person. I think that he's done it. It's a bit of a roll of the dice. It's a bit of a gamble. He's put someone on who clearly the club think is a high quality signing. Otherwise, they wouldn't have signed him. They wouldn't have made him the only signing. And he's thought, you never know. Put him on the last 20 and he might pop up with something. A wee moment of quality, a wee moment of magic. And you know, and it's one of those, right? A lot of managers kind of feel like it's written in the stars a wee bit. It's almost a game for them. And it's just not paid off. The gamble hasn't paid off. And again, talk about hindsight. Now we can reflect and say that it wasn't right. But if he does pop up and score a World Day, we're all saying what a manager he is, what a decision it was to put him in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to quit talking about the St Mirren game because it's making me want to fall asleep anyway. Well, we answered the listener questions before we move on.
Now it's time to answer the Hibs Ramble listener questions.
Okay, first off, as always, and Daniel, I'll come to you first. If you listen to the pod, you should be able to tell me what the first question.
Is it what's for dinner?
Absolutely is. What's for dinner? John's asking what's for dinner, and you can tell me first.
I had buffalo chicken and chips.
Oh, talk to us a wee bit more about that.
I don't really know what to say. It was absolutely lovely.
Was it what kind of what? Tell me about the buffalo chicken. Out a packet, out the freezer. Did you make it yourself?
Well, no, it was like my lights went off. It was like it was just like chicken I cooked and I have buffalo sauce.
Oh,
So, just got out of Tesco. I think it's like £1.50 or something.
not so bad. Not so bad. Sounds good, Mark. It sounds great.
Aye, that does sound good. That sounds good.
What did you have, or what are you having?
I had fish pie.
Oh, I tell you what, I
Homemade
love a
fish
fish
pie.
pie, man. I love a fish
Aye,
pie.
nice homemade felly. And if anyone's wondering, I absolutely detest when people put boiled eggs in fish pie. I fuck it. I find it vile.
I didn't think I've
Insulting almost.
ever had a fish pie that's had a boiled egg in it.
It's very common. I think it's a bit of an older generation thing, and it's very popular down south in England. And I hate it. I really hate when it happens. It makes me feel sick.
Doesn't it feel like the right place to have a boiled egg in a fish pie? Do you have boiled eggs in your fish
It's
pie,
got
Daniel?
loads of them. See,
Sorry,
Do you have boiled eggs in your fish pie?
I don't think I've ever had a fish pie.
Oh, fish pie. Oh, fish pie's sensational, man. It's just like mashed patties.
honestly, the viewers will know. The viewers will know the boiled egg thing. And sometimes if there's a big pan of fish pie, there's loads of boiled eggs in it.
What, like
And
but like whole ones or like cut up like egg
or
mayonnaise?
in half. Like
Oh.
no, like full boiled eggs, like cut up in it. And the first time, so I didn't actually know this was a thing either because I always made my own fish pies. But I was down in Windsor, right, and I was sat in this restaurant by myself, and I ordered a fish pie, and I like cut into the middle of it, and there was a big boiled egg, and I went, I put my hand up, and I was like, "Excuse me, there's an egg in this," and she went, "Ah, that's how it comes." I went, "Are you kidding me? What kind of nonsense?
What kind of establishment is this? Egg in my fish pie? I'm sorry, chef. I think you've put an egg in here by mistake.
It turns out it's actually a thing.
I don't think I've had fish pie a few times, man. I've never had a boiled egg. It kind of puts it onto the. Does that not kind of like put into the kedgeree sort of category? The kedgeree league. Kedgeree's got boiled eggs in it.
Nah, honestly, Google it. I think it's quite common.
Does
down
sound
south.
pretty English, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm having. Again, there's a shock. Got in from work, bathed the bairns, put the bairns to bed. I've not had a chance to think about eating. So,
Are you and Megan going to turn into influencers now that you've got one TikTok?
I wasn't going to mention this, Mark. I wasn't going to mention the viral fame that we've found over the weekend. No, listen, if you're anyone who's anyone and doesn't live under a rock, my wife has gone famous on TikTok. She's gone viral on TikTok with a video of our wee girl, which I thought was pretty funny. You've probably seen it. 7.5 million people have seen it. 1.5 million people have liked it. You know, there's thousands of comments. So, I mean, if you've not seen it, then what the fuck are you doing?
I'm going to go and make an account and troll you.
Mate, there actually has been people who have been leaving nasty comments. I thought it was just a bit.
Really?
I thought it was just a bit weird. There was someone who commented because it was Mila and she was eating. It was like little popcorn chicken and waffles. I mean, this was ages ago. This was before she turned 2. that Megan filmed us. She just decided to put it up on the weekend. And it was wee bits of chicken popcorn and tatty waffles. And she was eating them watching the telly. And someone commented, being like, oh, processed food, and sat in front of the telly. Obviously, she's not going to eat it. And Megan was like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? Like, this is a child. And then there was someone else that was like, oh, I wouldn't eat that either. Maybe try her with some fruit and eggs. And then Megan replied, yeah, fruit and eggs. And Megan replied to it, it's funny you say that, because as soon as I stopped filming, she had a paid omelette. Mate, I was greeting it. Oh, fucking. Some of the things that people have commented has been so funny. And it like hit America, so it's people going like, y'all, she's got me dead, y'all. Like, just all loads of Americanisms. It's dead funny.
TikTok's all weird.
TikTok is a weird place. Next up, we'll go with Harvey Scott. He says, no question from me. Fuck Ross Hardy, fuck the SFA, and fuck anyone from Paisley. Now, do you agree with that, Mark?
I have to say, Paisley is an absolute dump. Like,
It's no great.
it is grim. I parked the car like round the corner from the stadium in a sort of residential area, because it's obviously in an industrial estate, but there's a wee residential area, and honestly, it's literally, there's like a tip, an actual tip in the middle of like a residential area, and it looks like all the houses are abandoned and being knocked
I'm not
down.
being funny, but wouldn't that be pretty handy? Having a tip
I
in the
mean, it
middle
wouldn't
of
be
the
very
estate.
nice.
No, it wouldn't be. But every time I need to go to dump, it's like a 15-minute drive, and it's a pain in the arse.
I think it might be a demolition.
Oh, so it's like
Demolition.
unofficial fly tipping zone.
But I actually don't know. I don't know what it is. I just drove past it and knew it was an absolute
No,
shithole.
fair play. Next up, James S says, what blind man hired the referee? Again, just kind of underlining the fact that everyone else thought that the referee was shit as well. Dean, again, the referee had an art. Oh, here. He's fucked this spelling, by the way. Referee had an art shortcut. Has to be up there in one of the worst refereeing performances I've ever seen. Jordan Smith outstanding again. Dean, I think you've had one too many Stellas before replying to us on Twitter there, mate. Keith says, not the worst point to get. Credit to hang on with 10 players. Would be more fitting for the ref to be named Ross Softy on account of his soft decisions.
Is that your dad, by any chance?
It was Keith Robertson. He's maybe been reading too many of my dad's tweets.
That sounded like a Colin tweet, that.
Ross Softy. I thought that's quite funny, you know.
But honestly, everyone keeps talking about the referee, and like, fair enough, the referee was
The referee was shit, but the referee wasn't playing in a green white jersey. Didn't he put the ball in the back of the net?
He didn't. I wouldn't say he had a massive. Obviously, the red card like means that we have to hang on, but aye, it's just I think the result has got fuck all to do with the referee. But
Yeah.
way.
Well,
I mean, I think we've had worse referees this season. I think the one in Dingwall was worse. I think Dundee United Easter Road was worse.
yeah.
We've definitely had worse this
And
season.
in those games, that's actually costed us the 3 points. Whereas on Sunday, I think we could have played for 2-3 hours and we wouldn't have scored. Either team wouldn't have scored. Someone, I don't know if it was Keith there, but someone gave a shout out to Jordan Smith again. I think we just need to underline how good he's actually been recently. Do you think, Mark, that the need for a new goalie in the summer is becoming less and less important by the week with the performances that Jordan Smith's putting in?
Yeah, I like him. I like his attitude. He gets it, and he's obviously playing really well now. I don't think it's urgent, but I still think we need to sign a goalie, mostly as number 2, because if he, touch wood, gets injured, hopefully he doesn't get injured, but it would mean that we've obviously got to put Bursick in goals, which is not a situation that we want to have. So
I think our number 2 Miller in goals.
Yeah. So we definitely need to do something to get another goal in.
Daniel, thoughts on Carol Smith?
one of the best things about Hibs Twitter at the minute.
Oh,
Like-
she's fantastic.
Who the fuck?
Are you not keeping up with this? Jordan Smith's mum just keeps replying to everyone on Twitter,
Oh,
being like, "Thanks for
no,
the support. I'll pass it on to Jordan." Mate, she's an absolute hero.
Hero.
She just replies to everyone, being like, "Oh, thanks, Jordan loves it up here. He loves Hibs." He got asked about it in his presser before the St Mirren game. They were talking to him about it, being like, "Oh, is your mum embarrassing you on Twitter?" He was like, "Oh, I've told her to stop it, but I think it's just made her worse." It's funny, like, it's funny. Gav Dick says, worst referee performance I've seen in a good few years. Abysmal decision given to each side. Do you agree with the thoughts of some of the supporters online that we shouldn't be playing the loan players, Miko and Kwon, and playing players that are contracted by us? I mean, if we're not going to play players who are coming in on loan, then don't sign them on loan in the first place.
I don't think we shouldn't play them because they're on loan. I think we shouldn't play them because they're shit. To be honest with you, like Kwon, why whoever recruited him at Celtic really needs to give their head a wobble, because my God, he is very poor, and Kukurevich just looks a bit of a shell of his former self. He honestly, dare I say it, he doesn't really look interested. He just doesn't.
To be
look
honest,
interested.
would you? With the amount that he's playing?
Against Ayr, he was probably the worst player in the park, and he just was strolling around, not offering much. We played 10 times better as soon as he went off the park. So for me, it's nothing to do with the fact they're on loan. It's the fact that they're just not playing well at the moment.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, because when Kwon come in, Daniel, when Kwon come in the summer, first few games, I thought he looked half decent and looked like he would probably be a mainstay in the team. Then only for Nectar Triantis to hit a rich vein of form and keep him out of it. But what do you think about this notion of not playing them when we've got players under contract who are going to be here next season for definite? Do you think that playing players like Kwon and Miko and other players that we've got on loan, I kind of think at the moment, but do you think that's hindering the development maybe of the boys that we've got in the door?
I would say it's hindering the development, because I think David Gray will always play the team that he thinks best. Whether it's right or wrong is to be found out during the game. And at the start, especially Killy away, Kwon and Triantis were unreal. And I thought that we got a great midfield too for the season.
Yeah.
And even last season when Kwon was on loan at St Mirren,
I thought he
all
was
the St
good.
Mirren fans raved about him.
I thought he was good when he was at St
They
Mirren.
thought he was great. But for whatever reason, he's just not been great for us. Could be confidence related.
The thing is for me, he's not getting the prolonged game time on the park. If you're going to have a player in and out, then there's going to be rocky patches there because he's just getting up to speed, and then he's out the team for 2-3 weeks and then chucked back in because he's obviously not able to play on Saturday against Celtic. So, and like I said earlier on, I get the reason why Kwon was put in for the physicality side of it, but I think that it maybe should have been recognised a wee bit sooner that the game was passing him by and we needed someone else with a different skill set in there. But that's my 2 cents. And just to round us off on the listener questions, Colin McLennan says, I see league construction has popped its head above the parapet. How would you like this to look if it went ahead? Now, I saw a video, Mark, of a guy who is saying that we should follow the Greek model, which is a 14-team league that's you play each other twice and then it's split into a top 6 and a bottom 8. And then there's like playoffs for European spots between... I mean, it seemed a little bit complicated, but I think that after 1 season, 2 seasons, if we reconstructed to doing something like that, I think a bigger league would be better. More relegation spots, more chances for teams to come up and prove themselves. Because at the moment, we're just seeing the same 12 teams every other season.
That'll not happen.
No, I know it won't, but it'd be
guarantee
nice to dream.
because anything that's going to have any sort of impact on how many old firms there is per season will not. It just won't happen, because I can guarantee you your Sky Sports or Premier Sports or whoever
They'll
it
pull
is, they will be saying to the SFA, if you change the league format and reduce the number of old firms, we will pull all funding out of the league, or we'll cancel the contract, we'll do whatever. And without those contracts, I mean, the league obviously is impacted massively. What I also think is, and this is more of a long shot, but I think that if everyone plays each other twice, there's a much better chance that somebody else could run or have a sort of be in the title race. If you get somebody like Hibs, Hearts or Aberdeen who have an absolutely amazing season, you look at Aberdeen, the start that they had, if you only have to play the old firm twice each, then you could kind of go all the way with them. Whereas at the moment, if you get somebody like that's kind of pushing them all the way, they have to play the old firm, 4 times each?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You've got to play, and most of them are away from home and all that kind of stuff. So it ruins any momentum that a team's got. Now it's still going to be a long shot. It will still be Celtic and Rangers that will probably run away with it. But I think
we would see maybe. I don't think it's in particular the gulf would be closed. I think that teams like Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs, possibly Dundee United would maybe then distance themselves a little bit further from your St Johnstones, your St Mirrens, your Motherwells, Kilmarnocks, so on and so forth, because I feel like then, without having to play the old firm as many times as you do already, you'd maybe be able to put those winning runs together. The club would look a wee bit more appealing. The spots, European spots, would be a little bit more consistent. I don't know, but listen, it's a debate for another day. But would you like to see something like that happen, Daniel?
I mean, I completely agree with the TV deal thing with the old firm. I don't see it happening with where there's less old firms. And the thing is, if you think the past 5-6 years, ever since Hamilton got relegated, it's been the same 13 teams. It's been the Dundee clubs going down, coming right back up, and Livy. And Ross County, I think, had a wee year in the Championship as well, but went right back up. And I couldn't tell you the last time a team went down and didn't go back up. But I think it'd be nice to have different away games, especially like Falkirk.
It'd be nice to have Falkirk or Dunfermline or Wraith or something, Partick back up. You never know. I mean, I think extending the league is what, 9 out of 12 teams want to happen. 10 out of 12 teams in the top flight want to happen. And none of the broadcasters want to happen. But, listen.
That's the most appealing thing, is not having to do the same games over and over and over. Not having to go up to Dingwall 2 or 3 times a season. Do you know what I mean? Like, stuff like that is what would be the most appealing. Like, you go to a ground once in a season. For me, that's how it should be. You should play them once at home and once away.
You look forward to it, man.
That is what. Aye, because then it's like something different, and I've not been here in a year. Whereas the amount of times I'm going up to Dingwall or going to Celtic Park, I'm like, I was here 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And imagine the other thing you've got to think about is the derbies. Can you imagine there's 2 Edinburgh derbies a season, and that the intensity riles up, and it becomes much more meaningful every year, rather than it's like, oh, we've just beat Hearts, that's amazing, but we've got them again in 2 months anyway, so we're thinking about that one.
I mean,
I suppose, I think it makes sense for everyone that enjoys football to extend the league, but I'm with you, Mark. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of it, also, if we end up in the top half of the split, we'll have played Celtic away 4 times this season.
Yeah, this is true. Aye. Because twice in the cup, right enough.
Yeah.
That's a fucking joke, by the way. And funnily enough, we've got Celtic next. So we'll wrap up with our listener questions there, and we'll move on quickly. I've got a quiz for you. So there's only one thing that we need to do, and that is play the quiz music. And I need to get it ready. Here we go. You ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, it's taking its time.
Attention all ramblers. Don't go anywhere because it's Ramble quiz time.
Yes, it's Ramble quiz time. This week, I've gone for something a wee bit different. Now, if you are a fan of daytime television, like I am, and clearly like Daniel is because he told me before we started recording, you might know of a game called Tenable. Mark, have you ever heard of Tenable, hosted by the little Warwick Davis?
Can't say I have.
Oh, well, this is going to be fun then. So, basically, I've got a question for you, and there's 10 answers. Or, I mean, there's more than 10 answers, but I'm looking for the 10 most recent. The question I'm giving to you is, I want you both to name me the most recent scorers against Celtic for Hibs. So there's 10 answers, and let's just say, for example, if there's a player that's on it twice, like if Frank Soze had scored the most recent goal and the fifth most recent goal, it would be the most recent that is scored, if that makes sense. So if someone had scored the seventh most recent and the ninth most recent, they would only count for the seventh most recent, for the fourth most recent, or the eighth most recent for the fourth most recent. Does that make sense?
Are we counting cups as well?
Counting cups. We're counting home, away, cups. I'll let you go. And Ken, what I was going to say, I'll give you X amount of lives. Don't worry about the lives. It's fine. I don't think you'll get a
If I say, so I've got to do the latest goal scorer against Celtic. If I say it and it's wrong, I lose. Do I have to start again? Or
no, I would usually just say you lose a life and you've got like 4 lives or 3 lives. Ken, what I will do life. So you've got 3 lives each. If you get it wrong, you lose a life.
Right, sound.
So, and I'll go one each. But since Daniel, you're the guest, and you don't need to do it in order. You can do any order. You can go for whatever order you want. If it's on the list, then you'll not lose a life. So I'll let you go first, Daniel.
Well, I'll go Big Mick then.
Big Mick is a tenable answer, and he is number 1 on the list. He's the most recent scorer that we've had against Celtic, and the only scorer, Mark, this will help you out, the only scorer against Celtic that we've had this season so far.
What happened last season again? Oh, I'm just going to say it's not in the latest order because I can't really remember last season. Oh, I'm just going to say Paul Hanlon.
Paul Hanlon is a tenable answer. I had Paul Hanlon / own goal because he scored in that 4-2 game, but apparently it went down as an Alexander Bernabei own goal, so I would have given you the answer for Bernabei own goal or Paul Hanlon. Paul Hanlon is 4th in the list, so you've got 1 and 4 ticked off. Daniel, what's your next answer?
I'll take Ellie Yuan.
Ellie Yuan is also
in that same game.
Yeah, he's also a tenable answer. Also scored in that game that Paul Hanlon scored in. He is number 5 on the list. Mark, I want another one from you.
Josh Campbell.
Whoa, Josh, you are flying through this, boys. All lives intact. Josh Campbell, 7th on the list. Scored a penalty away at Parkhead. And then I think we got beat like 3-1 or 4-1. But that penalty put us 1-0 up. That was quite fun.
That was the game mind at half time. I was like, I'll take a draw going into half time. You're like, we're 1-0 up.
That was the game Yuan got sent off.
It was, aye.
Yeah.
He overhead kicked Carter Vickers' face. It's quite fun.
Yeah.
That was I remember that. Aye, you were like, oh, take a draw. Like, Mark, it's 1-0 to Hibs.
I was like, is it?
You celebrated the goal as well. I can't remember if you were Stephen or something. So we've got 1, 4, 5, and 7. Daniel, I'll come to you for your next answer.
Dylan Levitt.
Dylan Levitt is tenable. He's number 2. Scored against Celtic in the 2-2 draw last season. Was it 2-2 or did they beat us?
It was 2-1. It was the 2 penalties.
That's right.
I think it was Triantis' debut, gave away 2 pens.
Oh, yes, you're absolutely right. Aye, Ida scored both pens. Because I was like, Ida's a cart horse, he's shite, he's terrible, and then he ends up scoring twice against us. Mark, your next answer.
I genuinely can't think of anyone else. I'm so bad for shit like this. Try to think of the times at Easter Road.
But I can tell you that I think
Can I get a clue? Like, what game was it in?
there's one game that was in lockdown. So it was still the lockdown season. And there was another game that was at Hampden.
Paul Hanlon will be on there twice then, eh?
No, so Paul Hanlon, if he scored twice, he's only on there
Was
one
it just
time for the most recent goal. So it stretches back. The last answer, number 10, was I think in 2018 or 2019 at Hampden. It was the one at Hampden.
Oh.
Mate, I'm stumped. I'm stumped.
Do you want to lose a life?
Might just
I
name
think if you
something,
just
can I-
name someone who you know has scored for Hibs in the last 4 years. Kevin Nisbet is a tenable answer. He's number 6.
What ones have we got left?
So you've got number 3, number 8, number 9, and number 10.
Did Christian Deutsch?
Christian Deutsch absolutely scored. I'm sure it was at Parkhead. And it was...
Yeah, it was. We were 4-0 down or
Yeah,
something.
and he bundled it over the line. I think we were wearing that purple strip.
See, this is the thing. I can barely remember the goals because they're usually just consolation
Yeah.
goals.
So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we're only wanting 8, 9, 10. You've still got all your lives intact. This is incredible.
What did you say the number 10 was the lockdown?
No, number 10 was a game at Hampden in the League Cup.
Game at Hampden in the League Cup? In the final?
No.
Oh.
Because Paul Hanlon's on there already, that would have been on there. But because Paul Hanlon has scored since then, I'm only counting Paul Hanlon once.
I think I remember this.
I genuinely cannot remember playing Celtic in a semi-final.
I'm not surprised you don't remember because you were absolutely nuggets. Yeah.
Was that? Were we at yours? What?
No, we were at the game. Yeah.
Fucking hell. Semi-final v Celtic. Why can I not remember
Yeah.
this? And I was there.
I think it was a Saturday night, and then the following game, if I remember rightly, the other semi-final was Rangers versus Hearts. I think. I can't remember.
I am absolutely stumped.
I mean, there's 3 players here. There's 3 players, and I think only one you might struggle on.
I'll just say Jake Doyle.
Jake Doyle Hayes is not a tenable answer, I'm afraid. And that knocks 1 life off for you, Mark. Daniel, have you got any clue?
Was the League Cup semi-final Melker Halberg?
Oh, he did score in that game, but he's number 11 on the list. So I'm looking for the other scorer in that game, and that's a life off for you as well, Mark. I'm going back
Are
to
you sure I was there?
Yeah, you were there, I remember. I'm sure you were.
Mate, even with that, Halbell scoring, I still can't remember.
Well, we're wearing the purple and green stripy Hibernian Community Foundation strip. And we got beat 5-2 or 4-2.
And this was before. Was this before?
Yeah,
COVID?
this is before COVID.
No, I can't have been there, mate. There's no way because I didn't go to Hibs games before COVID.
It was a season before COVID, the season that got finished early before COVID.
Nah, I wasn't there.
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else then that got nuggets at the game.
I wasn't there. That's why I can't mind it.
Well, anyway, you've got that game, and then you've got a game in COVID, and then I think a game out of COVID.
What year was the out of COVID one?
I'm not too sure, but I mean he's scored against Celtic for us quite a few times.
I'm stumped. I'm not gonna lie.
You want to use another life?
Got a terrible, terrible memory.
One of the 3 players still plays for Hibs. And the other two have played for Rangers.
Joe Newell?
No. Not him. Daniel, does that shed any light? One player is still at the club, and the other two have both played for Rangers.
Was it Martin
Oh,
Boyle?
Martin Boyle's one of them.
I know one.
Martin Boyle's one of them. Mark, are you going to whip it up here? We've got 9 and 10 left.
Did Florian
He
Cavalieri?
absolutely did. That was the goal. That was the goal in that semi-final.
I definitely wasn't there. What was the score?
5-2 we got beat, I think.
I genuinely can't even remember that.
Melker Hallberg scored. Scott Brown scored, I think, that night as well for Celtic.
Yeah. I think he got a brace.
Because I'm sure they were wearing their away kit and we were wearing our away kit. It was weird.
I think so.
It was an odd one.
I feel like all the football games just melt into one, to be honest.
True, especially at Hampden against Celtic, because we always get beat. Daniel, I'm coming to you. Number 9, the last one that we need to get, and I think you've still got. Oh no, you lost one life, so that's fine.
Yeah. Do you say last one played for Rangers?
He did play for Rangers, yeah.
Is it
This
Jamie
game
Murphy?
was in lockdown. Jamie Murphy is absolutely correct.
I have absolutely zero memory of him scoring against Celtic. Just the only player I can think of.
That was during lockdown at home. We went. I'm sure Kevin Nisbet scored a penalty, and then we went 2-0 up like 5 minutes later, and then it finished 2-2. That boy Lax out with the cornrows scored in the last minute. Tenable. There we go. Happy days. I quite enjoyed that one.
That was a slog. That was an absolute slog.
I quite enjoyed that. And I've probably got half of them wrong. That there's been more recent scorers against Celtic because
I mean, I'm thinking, didn't Josh Doig score against him in a friendly?
I'm not counting friendlies, Daniel. Come on now. Come on now. Behave yourself. You'll not be invited back on. Fuck's sake. We'll just we'll wrap us up by chatting a little bit about the arrival of Celtic at the weekend, Mark. It's going to be a tough one. It might spell the end of our fabulous unbeaten run.
Yeah, I think most Hibs fans will probably be feeling the same, won't they? It's like more of a hope than expectation. But look, it might be an opportunity. I think the last few weeks have been real workman-like performances, which is boring. Like Aberdeen, Ayr and St Mirren, the lack of quality, and obviously we won 2 of those games, which is brilliant, and we drew the other, but just the lack of quality and it was just really poor games all round, really. So hopefully this is an opportunity to relax a little bit, and I don't want to say free hit because it's not, but you can almost go and play football because you know that Celtic are going to be route one. You know that it's going to be on the deck a lot of the time. So I think it's a combination of trying to play some football, but also using what we've done the last few weeks, being real workmen, real workhorses, to make it difficult for them.
Yeah, I think I'm just looking at it now. Obviously, we're recording here on Tuesday night, and at the time right now that we're recording, it's half-time in the Bayern Munich and Celtic game in the Champions League over in Munich. It's currently nothing each, so Celtic still really in the tie. But Daniel, do you think that's really going to make an awful lot of difference? I mean, they'll be coming back over after this game, and even if there is, like, if they put everything into the tie and they're still in the Champions League or they just missed out to Bayern, do you think it's really going to matter? Because I think that the change 11 for Celtic or whoever they bring in to kind of rotate the squad is still very, very good and probably miles above anyone else in the league.
I mean, you think about it. Luke McCowan, who we were after in the summer for the entire time, was meant to be our marquee signing. Obviously, went to Celtic in the end. He's like their 5th or 6th choice midfielder, and I think a slightly rotated Celtic team still wins the league. I hope the game today goes to extra time. Just gives us that slight bit of an advantage, but they're still going to be able to field a really strong team, whether it's only like 3 or 4 starters. It'll still probably on paper better than us, but we've played against better Celtic teams than this team rotated and got something So
That's true, and I think we're on fairly good form. So I think, like you say, Mark, I think it is probably more hope than expectation. But I don't think there's any reason why we can't look at this team and say, well, give it a right good go and go toe to toe with them. Try and probably do what we did against Rangers, and maybe not give them a 2-goal head start, mind, but go toe to toe with them, get in their face, make ourselves difficult to attack against, and get the ball forward when we can. I don't see why there's any reason that we can't come away from the game with a positive performance and hopefully a positive result.
Yeah, it's just we have to just go and try. And at the end of the game, if we've been beat, but it's been a real tight game, then I'm not saying that's what we want, but just as long as there's a few things, don't concede early, don't make any mistakes, things like that, and just really put the effort. And the other thing, right, to consider is European hangovers are absolutely real.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're playing tonight under the lights in the Allianz Arena in a massive, huge Champions League game, and then they've got to come Easter Road on Saturday at 12:30 kickoff. Daytime, and I think for them really the league's already wrapped up. So does naturally the intensity drop off a wee bit? Maybe,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can take advantage of that. I agree with what you've both said though, in terms of look, they can rotate and they'll still have much more quality than us. You just have to hope that everything goes wrong for them and everything goes right for us, and we get something out of the game. If we can, then that's unbelievable. Gives us confidence going into the Scottish Cup game, and obviously keeps that run going, and hopefully puts a bit of distance between us and beneath us, and catching up with Aberdeen and Dundee United.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to just touch on that as well, Daniel. I mean, all eyes will probably be on Pittodrie and Tannadice after our game on Saturday, 12:30 kickoff. We are. And then Aberdeen are at home to Kilmarnock, who were 4 points behind, and Dundee United are at home to Motherwell, who were 3 points behind. So come dinner time on Saturday night, we could be in a position where we're 1 point behind Aberdeen and possibly above Dundee United. I don't know what the goal difference is like. I mean, I know it's unlikely, but it's a possibility, and I think it just kind of underlines again that how tight this portion of the league actually is, and how much a win or two put together is really going to make a difference to the season.
I mean, even with Dundee United and Aberdeen both being on horrific runs of form, I mean, obviously Aberdeen just picking up their first win in ages on the weekend, they're still both very winnable games. Like Motherwell aren't great right now, but new manager bounce, you never know, and Killie or Killie. But
well, I'm hoping that neither of them win, because if they win and we get beat, then it brings Motherwell and Kilmarnock onto the same points as us.
Yeah, it is really tight. And those games, even though they should both be quite convincing home wins, can go either way. And we need to be prepared for that, because in all honesty, even though I had a look at it this morning, we've not conceded an open play goal in the league since that Rangers game. We've not conceded an open play goal in general since that Rangers game, yeah. We've conceded a free kick against Motherwell and then a penalty against Ross County. That's it.
That's incredible. That's an incredible stat. I didn't even realise that.
And even with that, I think I see that changing on Saturday, but like we have every reason to be hopeful with how good our defence has been.
That's the main thing. I mean, hope, it is the hope that kills you in the end. But listen.
And the thing is, we have to be like, if we do end up getting beat, we can't be too, there's teams around us and that. They've all got to play Celtic as well at the end of the day. We've still got opportunities when we go up against Dundee United away from home. That's a massive game. We've got Hearts at home. I can't remember who's after that, but we've got a few games before the split that are absolutely huge in securing us top six. So it's not going to be the be all end all. This isn't going to kind of determine our season. If we can get something, it's a bonus. But if not, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, that's what it splits at 33 games, right? So we've got 4 to take us to 30. So we've got 7 games before the split. And so how many points is that to play for? 21 points to play for. I mean, it's I think any of the teams from 3rd, probably all the way down to 11th. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Aberdeen ended up in the bottom 6 come the split. Or, I mean, even St Johnstone have got a chance of getting into the top 6. They're only 10 points off of St Mirren in 6th, and they're bottom of the league. It's
Ross County are only like 4 points behind us.
Ross County are 5 behind us.
5.
Hearts are 4 behind us. Motherwell, Kilmarnock, and St Mirren are all 3 behind us. St Mirren jumped up like 3 places in the league, getting a point and a clean sheet on Sunday. Incredible.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's so tight because really it's because of the starts that Hibs and Hearts had. If we had been on this run or we'd been more consistent from the start of the season, we would be miles clear of pretty much everyone, I would say. Same with Hearts.
Yeah.
So we need to just remember again that the reason it's so tight is because of that poor run. But on the trajectory that we're on, we realistically, on this run should be finishing clear of everyone else.
I want you to put your neck on the line here, Daniel. Where are Hibs going to finish come the end of the season?
I honestly think 3rd. This might be my heart speaking more than my head,
Good
but
lad.
I genuinely think we'll finish 3rd. With the run we've been on, I don't see, having watched Dundee United and Aberdeen and the teams around us, whether it's against Hibs or just on the telly, they don't look as good as us. But saying that, we've not been the most convincing recently. So
I think that come the end of the season, our main competitor for 3rd is going to be Hearts.
Said that for ages, and I think it's still true that it'll be between us and Hearts for 3rd and 4th.
I think it will be.
I really do think that.
I think it will be. And obviously, this is the last year of the team that finishes 3rd getting straight into European League stage football. So it's absolutely paramount that if we want to have our shot at that we finish 3rd this year. And I think it's maybe been drummed into the players an awful lot, and we've got a real good chance. It's not even like it's an outside chance. We're 4 points off 3rd. And we just need to make sure that we're doing everything we can. Just try and catch that team that's above us. One team above us, catch them. One team above us, catch them, and see how far we can go. But I think that it's not out with the realms of possibility that we'll finish 3rd. I said this months ago that we could finish 3rd, and people laughed at me. You're not laughing now. You know what I mean? I think it's a real good chance that we finish 3rd. But probably a good place to finish up there, boys. Thank you so much for joining me in the last hour. Daniel, have you enjoyed your Ramble debut?
Hope to be back again.
We'll have a wee chat after you've dropped off, and we'll decide.
Just anything to talk about.
Hey, Mark, thanks for joining us. What are you up to for the rest of the night? You going to watch a Celtic game?
I'm still doing work in the house, so I need to finish that.
Oh, well, fair dues, mate. Tell us about the work you're doing in the house, because you're pretty proud of what you've done so far, eh?
I am converting. We've got a wee cupboard as you walk in the house, but it's quite big. You walk in and that I'm converting it into an office for Emily.
Amazing. Listen, a man of many talents. Maybe not great, not great Barnett, but I tell you what, inside that cranium, there's a big brain in there.
It's absolutely dreadful, isn't it? I can't wait for
Did
it
you get
to
it
go
done
out,
today?
'cause this is just... No, it was just Friday.
Oh man, just thought about. Would you just shave it all off again?
The thing is, I would, right, if I didn't look like fucking Private Pile all day.
I said to Megan, I was like, I kind of just want to shave it all off, and I think, like, the look that she gave me, I think she would leave me with the bairns if I shaved my head, which is annoying.
If I could pull off a shaved head, I definitely would. But like, I just need to hold out and just wait for it to grow on. The annoying thing is, I'm on Teams meetings like all day, every day. So like, I'm just sat on calls like messing my head up.
Yeah, that was me today. I walked into the office today and like the folk that I sit beside were like, fuck it. There's a window outside, Liam. I was like, no, I meant it. It's a style choice. We'll wrap it up there. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for joining us. Like Daniel, you can catch us on Discord. I'll pop the link in the description in the bio for the pods. You can get us on socials, whatever socials that you're on. If we're on there, we'll be at the Hibs Ramble. But all that's left for me to say is, again, Daniel and Mark, thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you after the Celtic game. Bye.
Let's get ready to rumble.